the opportunity not long ago to meet some of our speakers' friends. And when he introduced me, he told them, and she's going to call me Amaziah, but everybody north of the Mason-Dixon line, they call Amaziah Bill Howell. Well, Amaziah told them, he said, I've known Lula ever since junior high school. So I said, that's a lie. I said, Amaziah, he's not telling the truth, he's lying. So Amaziah's mouth fell wide open. He said, Lula! You know, and he kind of looked at me. His friends had this look on their face, you know, like, oh, really? Vanessa, his wife, looked at me like, did she just call my husband a lie? Well, you know I kept a straight face. I looked at Amaziah and I told him, I said, Amaziah, who was your first grade teacher? Amaziah said, Miss Holman. He saw the light go off. Amaziah said, wow, he said, Lula, were you in there? I said, yes, I was in there. I was in there with Rudy, Donna Hooker, Big Sam. Didi, were you in there? Okay. So Amaziah, he said, wow, you know, I did get it wrong. He said, I've been knowing you about 60-something years. I said, you're right. I said, yeah. So, Vanessa, thank you for not beating me down for calling your husband a lie. You know, but you did tell the truth. Well, they say that an apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? Well, I'm glad that the tree of Mr. Amaziah Howell Jr. and Miss Teresa's tree, I'm glad those apples and the fruits from that tree just fell, you know, kind of close. That fruit didn't rot. I'm pleased and I'm honored to introduce to you Mr. Amaziah Howell. I asked Amaziah, well, I guess you're going to need to send us a picture and a bio, right? So Amaziah sent me the picture and the bio when I got it. I looked at it, I said, I'm not going to read these 19 pages, you know, and I said, oh, well, since I asked you for it, I guess I will. I went and got me a drink and a sandwich, and I sat down, I said, I guess I got to read this stuff. So when I started reading, I thought I knew Amaziah. He has accomplishments up to here. But one thing I believe I can say about him, he doesn't wear them on his sleeve. I never knew it, and I believe most of you in here never knew what his accomplishments are. But I don't care about that. And I don't believe his father or mother really cares about that. We know him as Amaziah the man. When I looked at that bio, what stood out to me was the first award he put on there was from School Street School. That was the pilot award, whatever that was. And then I kind of read down some more, and you know, he was Father of the Year. And then his family turned around, and they were Family of the Year. So it doesn't matter what you do, it's who you are. And I'm pleased to say that we have such a man as Amaziah in our class. Class, help me welcome our speakers.
I am so delighted and so happy and pleased to be here tonight, to be a part of the 50th reunion of the class of 1966 from Dillard High School. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. The parade this morning, those of you who were there, was just absolutely wonderful. It was outstanding. It was warm and wonderful, and I got an opportunity to see classmates that I have not seen in quite a few years. Right now I'm having a flood of memories and flashbacks that are truly remarkable. But before I get into my remarks, I want to introduce some members of my family. Lula had already mentioned, okay, that my dad is here, and I'd just like to formally acknowledge him and say to you, say to him, that he is my hero. And all my life, I've done everything I could, tried my very best to walk in his footsteps, because he is a man of all seasons. That's my dad, Amaziah Howell Jr. Also want to acknowledge my sister, Marion Elizabeth Howell, class of 1965. Marion, or we call her Sweet Pea. She is one of the nicest people, okay, in the whole wide world. Then Daddy's his primary caregiver, Sophia is here. And Sophia has been outstanding as a primary caregiver for Daddy. Okay, Sophia, thank you very much, okay, for everything that you do. And her dad is here, Kenneth Howell. And Kenneth was the class of 1968. And I just told him a few moments ago, you know, he's responsible for getting me into a lot of trouble. You know? And last but certainly not least, I want to introduce my wife, Vanessa. Remember Mr. Richardson in the 8th grade? And almost every day, Mr. Richardson would say, whenever I see my wife, it makes my heart go boom, boom, boom. Well, this lady makes my heart go boom, boom, boom. So please welcome, okay, and acknowledge my wife, Vanessa Howell. You know, it's great to have love, to give love, and to be loved. And that's what I have, okay, my wife, okay, Vanessa. So thank you. I want to thank Mary and the officers of our class and those members who worked hard to make this weekend a success. Again, I especially want to thank Lula Bryant Sturdivant, because a couple of years ago, Vanessa and I, we were in Las Vegas for a conference. And Lula picked us up at our hotel, and we spent the day together. She showed us around Vegas, taking us out to the Hoover Dam, where we walked across the catwalk of the Pat Tillman Bridge over the Colorado River, connecting Arizona with Mount Nevada. The sign on the bridge said, "Bridging Greatness," which reminds me a little of our theme tonight, bridging the gap through 5 generations. Just like tonight, that evening we got dressed and went to a wonderful dinner with some friends. She was a gracious host. She's been a great friend, a great classmate. And Lou, I just want to thank you again and again. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am humbled to have been given this opportunity to say a few words tonight. But as Elizabeth Taylor said to her 7 husbands, I won't keep you long. Clayton, I didn't say anything about you, buddy. And I don't know about you, but I've come to the point where a happy hour is a neck. Yes. Yeah, how about that? I got an amen. But classmates, think about this. 50 years from now, this room is going to be filled with old ladies with tattoos. But what were we doing before when we all took a break for 50 years to have lives? We We all remember different things about school that have remained with us through life. Speaking personally, I can tell you it was a thrill to be in band with Mr. Hughes, playing my cornet at the football games, playing in concerts, and marching in parades. I got a letter in band, okay, and I still have that letter on my wall. And I enjoyed singing in Mrs. Harris's Glee Club. It was with the Glee Club that I took my first trip to New York. It was also in Mrs. Harris's room that I developed my interest and love for Black history. Looking at the pictures of those prominent Black people around her wall, Leontine Price, Marion Anderson, Jesse Owens, Thurgood Marshall. I had no idea who any of those people were, but they were Black and they looked good and they were accomplished, which started to say to me that I could be somebody too. And looking back on our high school years, for me, they were wonderful years. There's never been a better time before or since. To me, it was a golden era. Probably the most significant event in the 60s was the Civil Rights Movement. And for our class, we were in the vanguard of the movement. We were very much a part of it all. Part of my experience was marching on City Hall. On one instance, we participated in a sit-in at the Paramount Theater downtown. The police came and housed 6 of us in the back seat of a police car to take us to jail. I remember Daddy coming down to get me out. And I said to him that I couldn't go with him. And he got a little annoyed because here all these years he was putting people in jail, and here his son wanted to go to jail. But Daddy told me later that that was one of the proudest days of his life. The fact that I was willing to stand up and even go to jail for what I believed. My life has been a series of ups and downs, just like every other life in this room. I've heard it said that after 50, you get the face you deserve. After 60, you got the life you deserve. Maybe the one you wanted, but definitely the one you chose. Life at our age is a result of the choices we make, each one following all the ones before it. But if you are really lucky, or you are really good, you look at a life of choices and you make them all the same way. But if you're not so lucky, or you weren't paying attention, there are some decisions in your life that makes you wish your life was on a videotape so you could hit instant replay and erase. But these are the decisions that we learn from the most. Think about your own life. Think about that first huge decision, good or bad, for better or worse, that shaped your life and made you who you are and brings you back here tonight. I have a base of values acquired from my experience at Dillard High School that we all have, and have taken us through regardless of the paths chosen, and that have stayed with me, and I'm reminded of them every day. Being together with you connects me to my roots, which helped me throughout my life. When was the last time you were in a room with this number of people, your own age, people you have a lot in common with, similar values and experiences? For me, it was our last reunion I attended. We are the only people who knew you before you were a father or a mother. We are the people who knew you when you didn't have a profession or career. We knew you when you were still vibrant and healthy. But people in this room are absolutely irreplaceable in the lives of others. We are aging. Those of us who have aging parents know that we ain't seen nothing yet. Aging happens. And it doesn't matter how hard you work, how fit you are, how loved you are, we're getting older. I think I lost my page. And how is the next generation looking at us? How do they communicate with each other? I bought a book on Amazon.com entitled Bridging the Gap, How to Get Radio Babies, Baby Boomers, Gen Xers, Gen Yers, and Millennials to work together and achieve more. Each of them has a different perspective based on their upbringing and daily lives. The key to making encounters between generations successful is learning to understand the point of view of each generation and respect their differences. Imagine in 1966, a group of 30, 40, 50 people all of a sudden and seemingly out of nowhere just start singing or dancing, taking over the entire space of Center Street in downtown Brooklyn, just like they do at Grand Central Station in New York, or San Francisco, or Chicago, or Paris, or in other places around the world. Imagine our utter shock if that had happened in the 60s in Goldsboro. That's a generational difference for you. Take communications. Though the means are different, the purpose is the same. Communicating is what ties us together and ties us to future generations. While we communicated differently, we communicated, and that's the key. Young people today are whiz with social media. Everything from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email, text, LinkedIn, blogs, and who knows what's next. In our day, we communicated by phone, and we wrote a letter, or we talked to our people we went to talk to at school. And in our parents' day, you know, they had a piece of string they tied a can to each end, but they found a way to communicate. The common thread that ties the multi-generational differences together is communication. And if I may say, it is the importance of seeking commonality instead of looking for differences with each other and among different generations. While the means of communications have changed, the need for communication is the same today, if not greater. And while we have all those prolific and sophisticated means of communicating immediately, we are probably communicating with less substance. And most importantly, what brings 5 generations together? Strength of family, our shared faith, our shared culture, and our friends. That's what will carry us further. Every morning, I typically get up around 5 a.m. and sit at the computer and start doing my work. And then around 7 o'clock, my 2 granddaughters, Jessica and Jasmine, who's 7 and 9, and they'll come through and say, "Come on, Granddad, let's go have breakfast." So I take time out from working, go downstairs to have breakfast. They'll sing, they'll dance, they'll do acrobatics. I mean, they'll tell me stories. In fact, they'll even tell me stories about their mom and dad. Because, you know, kids will be really truthful, we'll be honest with you. But that 20 minutes that I spend with them is the best 20 minutes of my day. Because of it, it helps me to get founded and prepares me for the outside world. And I really love those kids. I've got 5 grandkids, and they're just wonderful. Similarly, I get a kick out of Dad when Amy and Joy FaceTimes with the grandkids. You know, he looks at that iPad or that phone like, how in the world is this happening? You know? And it's astonishing. But also when he looks at the screen, he knows that they are his offspring. Everything, okay, he is, was passed down to his kids, his grandkids, down to his great-grandkids, and the generations that will follow. They're going to be like him, have his morals, his values, his communicating skills, but it all started with him and my mom, and actually before with his parents, and even before that. When I look back over my life, I can truly say that I've been blessed. I have a testimony. Concluding, I want to quote a scripture. And the scripture is taken from Isaiah 46, chapter, the 4th verse. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he. I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. One of my mother's favorite songs is God Will Take Care of You. Be not dismayed, whate'er betide. God will take care of you. Beneath his wings of love abide. God will take care of you. God will take care of you. Through every day, or all the way, he will care for you. God will take care of you. He will take care of you. He will take care of us. It's great to see everyone, and let's promise to meet back here at the 100th class of 66 reunion. Thank you very much.